Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our English podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, we're really happy you're here. This podcast is designed for learners who want to go beyond memorizing vocabulary lists and instead understand how English works in real life, in academic settings, and in professional conversations. In every episode, we focus on one word only, but we explore it slowly and deeply. We talk about its meaning, how it's used in the news, in universities, in workplaces, and in everyday life. We also talk about the emotional and human side of words, because language doesn't exist in isolation. It reflects how people live, think, and respond to challenges. Today's word is one of the most important words of our time. You hear it in discussions about climate change, education, business, economics, social justice, and global development. You see it in university lectures, international conferences, company reports, and government policies. Today's word is sustainability. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. We create long-form vocabulary podcasts regularly, and your support helps us continue this project. Now, let's slow down, breathe, and really understand what sustainability means.
Let's start with the core meaning, because sustainability is a word many people use, but not everyone truly understands. At its most basic level, sustainability means the ability to continue something over a long period of time without causing damage or collapse. When something is sustainable, it can keep going without exhausting resources, harming people, or creating serious problems for the future. The key idea here is long-term thinking. Sustainability is not about short-term success or quick results. It asks a very important question. Can this continue safely and fairly, not just today, but for years and generations to come? This is why sustainability is such a serious and complex concept. It forces individuals, companies, and governments to think beyond immediate benefits and consider long-term consequences.
One reason sustainability is so important today is that many of the systems we rely on are under pressure. Natural resources are being used faster than they can be replaced. Cities are growing quickly. Inequality is increasing. Climate change is affecting weather, food production, and living conditions. In this context, sustainability is not a nice idea. It's a necessity. Without sustainable practices, societies face long-term instability. Economic growth may look strong in the short term, but if it damages the environment, exploits workers, or creates extreme inequality, that growth cannot last. So when we talk about sustainability, we are really talking about responsibility. Responsibility to the environment, to other people, and to future generations.
Many people immediately connect sustainability only with the environment, and that's understandable. Environmental sustainability is a major part of the concept. It focuses on protecting natural resources, reducing pollution, and preventing environmental damage. But sustainability is broader than that. It also includes economic sustainability and social sustainability. Economic sustainability asks whether an economic system can function long-term without constant crisis, extreme debt, or exploitation. Social sustainability focuses on fairness, access to education, healthcare, safety, and equal opportunities. A society cannot be truly sustainable if people are excluded, marginalized, or unable to meet basic needs. This is why sustainability is deeply connected to justice and human dignity.
I want to make this idea more concrete with a real-life example. Imagine a company that makes huge profits by overworking employees, paying very low wages, and ignoring safety standards. In the short term, the company looks successful. Profits increase. Investors are happy. But over time, workers become exhausted, injuries increase, and public trust declines. Eventually, employees leave, legal problems appear, and the company collapses. This business model was not sustainable. Sustainability is about avoiding this pattern. It asks companies and institutions to create systems that people can survive within, not just financially, but physically and emotionally.
Sustainability is not only a concept for governments and corporations. It also appears in daily life, often in small and quiet ways. For example, people may choose to buy fewer things but higher quality items that last longer. They may reduce waste, reuse products, or support local businesses. These actions are often described as sustainable choices. But sustainability in daily life is also about pace. Living sustainably means not constantly pushing yourself to exhaustion. It means recognizing limits, financial limits, emotional limits, and physical limits. In this sense, sustainability applies not only to the planet, but to human life itself.
I want to share a personal reflection here, because sustainability is something I didn't understand from books or lectures. I learned it the hard way, through experience. For a long time, I genuinely believed that working harder always meant moving closer to success. I thought exhaustion was a sign of dedication, and constant pressure meant I was doing something meaningful. So I pushed myself every day. I said yes to too many responsibilities. I filled my schedule completely. I ignored rest, ignored balance, and ignored the small warning signs that something was wrong. At first, everything looked positive from the outside. I was productive. I achieved goals quickly. I felt proud when people said I was hardworking or reliable. There was a sense of progress, and that progress became addictive. I told myself that this was just a temporary phase, that once I reached a certain level, I could slow down later. But later never came. Slowly, the cost of that lifestyle became impossible to ignore. I started waking up tired, even after sleeping. Tasks that once excited me began to feel heavy. My motivation dropped, not suddenly, but quietly. I became more impatient, more stressed, and less present in my own life. My health began to suffer, both physically and mentally. And worst of all, I started questioning things I once loved. That moment was confusing and painful, because from the outside, nothing looked wrong. But inside, I felt drained. That's when I realized something very important. What I was doing might have looked successful, but it was not sustainable. My lifestyle depended on constant pressure, constant energy, and constant sacrifice. And that kind of system eventually collapses. This experience completely changed how I understand the word sustainability. I realized that sustainability is not about doing less, and it's not about being lazy or lowering your standards. It's about doing things in a way that allows you to continue, emotionally, mentally, and physically, without breaking down. A sustainable life is one where effort and rest exist together, where ambition does not destroy health, where success is not achieved at the cost of long-term well-being. Sustainability means building a rhythm you can live with, not just survive. And once I understood this, I started seeing sustainability everywhere, not just in environmental discussions or economic policies, but in daily choices, personal boundaries, and the way we define success itself.
Education is another area where sustainability matters deeply. An education system is not sustainable if students are constantly stressed, underfunded, or excluded. Learning requires stability, support, and time. When education becomes a race for grades, certificates, or prestige, many students burn out before reaching their potential. Sustainable education focuses on long-term development. It values critical thinking, well-being, and equal access. It prepares students not only to pass exams, but to adapt to changing realities. This is why sustainability is now a key topic in universities worldwide, across many disciplines.
In news and academic English, the word sustainability often appears in a formal and analytical tone. You may hear sentences like, "Sustainability has become a central goal of modern economic policy." Long-term development requires sustainable resource management. The company committed to sustainability through ethical and environmental reforms. Notice how neutral and structured this language is. There is no emotional exaggeration. The focus is on systems, strategies, and outcomes. Understanding this tone is essential for exams like TOEFL and IELTS, where clarity and precision matter more than dramatic language.
A common mistake English learners make is using sustainability as a vague, positive word without clarity. Saying something is sustainable without explaining how or why can sound empty. Advanced English requires specificity. Instead of saying, "This policy is sustainable," you might say, "This policy is environmentally and economically sustainable in the long term." This level of detail shows real understanding.
For students and young people, sustainability is deeply connected to the future. Many young people today feel pressure not only to succeed, but to do so in a world facing climate change, economic uncertainty, and social instability. Sustainability represents hope, but also responsibility. Young people are increasingly asking important questions. Can I build a career without harming the planet? Can I succeed without exploiting others? Can society support long-term well-being, not just short-term profit? These questions show maturity and awareness, and they are shaping global conversations.
Before we move toward the end of this episode, I want you to actively use the word sustainability. Pause the podcast and try to complete these sentences in your own words. Sustainability means thinking about. A sustainable society is one that. Sustainability is important because don't worry about perfection. Focus on clarity and meaning. This is how vocabulary becomes part of your active thinking.
Sustainability is more than a trend, and it is certainly more than a popular word used in speeches or social media campaigns. At its core, sustainability is a way of thinking about life, systems, and responsibility. It encourages us to step back from speed and urgency and instead ask deeper questions about direction and impact. It asks us to slow down, to reflect, to consider consequences that go beyond ourselves, beyond the present moment, and beyond short-term success. In a world that often rewards speed, visibility, and immediate results, sustainability quietly reminds us that not everything valuable happens quickly. Some things require patience, some systems need care, and some forms of progress only become meaningful when they can last. When you truly understand the word sustainability, you gain access to important conversations about the future. You can understand discussions about climate, education, economics, business, and social development, not as separate topics, but as connected parts of a larger system. This understanding allows you to follow global conversations with clarity, not just in English, but in thought. And this is why learning words like sustainability is not only about improving your language skills. It is about expanding the way you see the world. Language gives shape to ideas. When you learn deeper words, you gain access to deeper thinking. You begin to notice patterns, connections, and responsibilities that were previously invisible. Understanding sustainability helps you ask better questions. Can this system continue? Who benefits, and who pays the cost? What happens if we keep going this way for 10, 20, or 50 years? These questions matter. They matter in classrooms, in workplaces, in communities, and in personal life decisions. And being able to express them clearly in English allows you to participate in meaningful conversations, not as a passive listener, but as a thoughtful contributor. So when you learn a word like sustainability, you are not just adding vocabulary to your memory. You are adding a new lens through which to understand the world. And that is the true power of language.
If this episode helped you understand the word sustainability more deeply, please subscribe, like, and share this podcast with someone who's learning English seriously. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.